wanted to write. And I ended up writing this. I don't know, is that clear? Can you read that?
Yeah.
I mean, backing up in what's called Freimauer, a German word. Elizabeth Cooper Baker, the author of a book titled Medieval Freemasonry, is the one who underlines this surname in German in her book in footnotes. First of all, it's important to know she either was or is, I don't know if she's still on the scene or not, a Mason. Eastern Star, or some other female order in the European sector of this knowledge. There's only been one woman that's been allowed to join a male Masonic fraternity, and that's been this woman here, Annie Besant. They call her Brother Besant. Her knowledge exceeded that of their Grand Master, so they were obligated to incorporate her into the Masonic order. That's European American, European Masonry. There is a Afrocentric Negro Masonry that have no books. They've done almost no writing. I think there's 2 books by black Masons that I'm aware of. Let me parenthesize that. One is titled Great Black Masons of History, and the other one is a rendering of commentary on King Solomon's temple that offered no in-depth knowledge of any kind. He just reiterated what's in the Bible. The problem of reading Masonic literature is that even if they're exposing some knowledge, they still keep the secret. They write in initials. They write in code. They make reference to symbols, places, and dates that only those who are inside the organization can delineate those sworn to secrecy parts or bodies of knowledge. That's been their procedure, and they ain't stopped yet. C.M. Bay got out of the Masonic order, Johnson Bay said, and started teaching the American Negro who he was from a Moorish Masonic point of view. He did 2 pamphlets called The Clock of Destiny, volumes 1 and 2. Most of that information I have already delineated over the past 8 months here. And the information I did not is in relationship to astrology, which is something I'll deal with next year. Noble Drew Ali, it is allegedly stated that he was also a Mason, got out of the Masonic order, and formed the Moorish Science Temple of America. He wrote 1 pamphlet, The Koran Circle 7, Koran. It's on the open market. I don't know who has any copies of it, but most of it was an extract from another book titled The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ by Levi Dowling. And he added some legendary information about the Moors and Moabites in the Bible, and tried to trace an origin from that biblical perspective. He made allusions to Egypt, but he didn't really clarify. What she said about this word or name is that it means Freemason, and it does not. And she knows that the Masons that would read it would know that it does not mean Freemason. It means free Moor. This is the Greco-Latin German word for Moor, Maur. You can find it in any Latin book. It's not in the dictionary. But the word Moor is, and the term blackamoor is also in the dictionary with a descriptive. That is your ethnocentric name, differing from your geographical identification as Americans, certainly different from that of Negro, and different certainly from that of African or Africa. The spiritual connection is what's secondarily important about knowing this name. First of all, looking at it from a examinatorial point of view, why is it your ethnocentric name is being used by Europeans in and behind the Masonic door or lodge as an identity point? Is the question the curious should ask themselves. Secondly, where is all of the history of the people that represent these Moors in Europe? And why isn't it taught in colleges, in high schools, or any other part of this, quote, educational system? Answer is, it is hidden. The second answer is what it means. Lord of the earth. That's also the landlord, where that particular concept comes from. It is also registered in the scriptures in Genesis chapter 39, verses 30 and verse 33. And in a discussion between Jacob and his sons that returned back from Egypt, or Cain, after having talked with Joseph and being inquired of them by Joseph of their younger brother, whom they sold into slavery. It's all there, all very Masonic, all very Kabbalistic, and clothed so that it fits right into the regular story of the 12 sons of Jacob and this remarkable personage of Joseph, who has all of the symbolic prestige of greatness. He's the one who had a dream of seeing 11 stars, the sun and the moon bowing to him. He's the one who went from that of a slave or prisoner to that of being freed and then made and given the position of governor of Egypt. A Jew, whom the Egyptians in history previously were noted as finding the Hebrew or the Jew unworthy to eat with. So the story is there. With the keys, you can gain a great deal of knowledge from those biblical stories. Pointing this out gives us a precedence at looking at the knowledge of Scripture and the hidden knowledge of other schools that have borrowed this inheritance. I can't think of the sister's name, an empress.
Empress Gospel?
Yes, who has a book out she's bringing with her next month titled Return of the Ancient Ones. It's a handsome little price on it, but she's got it documented. So she's not talking legend, hearsay. She's got some not only documentation, but the land to prove it. She has been legally given back, 16 or 6,000 acres of land in New Orleans. I'm talking about a black woman living today, not dead, in New Orleans right now as we sit here. She'll be here this month. And is aware of the fact that we are Moors. And has recorded that information in her book. Okay, that's what's important for us to be able to break loose this illusion of being nothing or nobody. Because that's about what our children think of both themselves and each other. Otherwise, it would be so easy for them to kill each other. One of the major factors of this science in relationship to black women is to get a clear perspective about the order of things. As the Bible makes reference to God creating a man first and then taking a rib and making a woman out of the rib, as very much through these Kabbalistic writers, not God, Kabbalistic writers, of distorting the view of woman in relationship to man. That somehow the first woman was born from a man, and from there on, all men would be born from a woman. Does not sound like nature at work. So we're able to make that insertion there and come clear in understanding the symbology of the rib and understand the chronology of the female principle as matter That's the Latin word for matter. That's the English word. The coined word for mother. At the helm of this concept of matter is another hidden concept or term that's been alluded to in the Egyptian studies of that of Isis, which is a Greek word. The mother Zedekias is the ancient word that must be classified as legend because there's no written evidence of this term except in the translatory dictionary of the word Zodikias, which is Greek, spelled Z-O-D-I-U-S, which is, of course, translated the zodiac. In that zodiac, one has the circumference of everything and the line. I'll get back to that in a minute. The symbological representation of the mother Zedekias is found in Revelations chapter 12 of the Queen of Heaven, with 12 stars on her crown and the sun and the moon under her feet. It is also mentioned in Genesis. I can't call the chapter and verse at this point. European religion and Eastern religion that is popularized now underlines the father principle in religion. It does not underline the mother principle in religion until the metaphysical school presented its knowledge of the Bible and acknowledged a mother mind and a father mind. Two principles, male and female. Yet with these keys one can find the principles written into the scriptures. Male and female made Eden. The factor of Adam and Eve as male and female shows the principles not of two human beings, but two principles of nature. Even in the legendary story that these are the original two human beings, as the first creation of God establishes the male and female principle. Male and female made he them, meaning both principles are part of both alleged or stated natures. What is important about this is to understand the molding substance of creation is feminine. The enacting principle of electricity that causes the animation of matter is feminine, is masculine. The sun, Mother, mater. That's an Egyptian word for mother. It's not an English word. Pushing the two syllables together, we see the concept of Mason. Mother and son. It's not Christianity in terms of Jesus and his mother. When this particular symbol is given and was given by Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, to his particular brand of Islam, does not give that precedence to Islam or to the Muslim. Islam does not have any symbology. It is not on, you won't find that on any Quran anywhere in this country or in the East or in Arabia. It is only on a standard, a flag, which represents government first. It does not represent the religion. It needs to be understood. Then where did the star and the crescent come from as an insignation of a people? Can be traced back to the Moors. But first you trace it to where it is viewed on a regular basis. In the heavens. Not every night, many nights, you can see the crescent and the star. There is no crescent moon. That is an illusion. The moon is always full. We just can't see it. There is no five-pointed star in the heavens. It flickers with 4, 6, 8, and sometimes 12 points. But the configuration of the pentacle or the pentagram, as shown here, is a mathematical or geometrical equation. However, there is a five-pointed star in nature in slicing the apple, in the five-pointed fish, and in certain leaves. The perfect geometry of the pentagram or the pentacle is seen in the 5 points that represent the 5 points of man as star, as sun. The crescent is the astrological symbolism accredited to the ancient Egyptian cartographers of that astrological map as the moon child or the mother. That's where you get the concept mother and son. You see the word in there? Right. That's it. That is not Arabic. That's English. Okay. Arm, leg, head is the Codex Inscriptus of those 5 letters and those 5 points in relationship to the symbol of the 5-pointed star and the crescent moon. I'm going to try to get this out here. Okay. What Albert Churchward has done more than any other fair-minded European, even more so than Wallace Budge. I don't see any of his books here. Yes, Albert Churchward. Yeah.
Budge is up there.
Okay, yeah, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, who spent most of his life unraveling and rewriting and interpreting the ancient writings or papers of the ancient Moor as Egyptian. And it did not accredit the black man and black family as the originators of this ancient science, but gave it to the northern Indian. Very interesting, because the northern Indian is the light-skinned Aryan that Hitler said he was, and most scholastic or scholarly Europeans claim to be a part of that descendancy. Again, discrediting the African and the black man for having civilization, or having authored the knowledge that constructs civilization. What Churchward did was to disprove this misnomer and this falsification in his books, plural. Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man, The Arcane of Freemasonry, I think it says also. No, yeah, that's Churchward. That's Churchward. And a couple of others. But this seems to be the book that has come forward as a out-of-print piece of literature, which is very interesting. The books that Joseph Ben Jacqueline, Ivan van Sertima, Sheikh Anta Diop, and a few other outstanding black men that rewrote our history for us had to resort to out-of-print literatures because the contemporaries of those black men were busy at hand lying and falsifying and continuing the conspiracy against the psychology of the black family. When a human being is miseducated and misrepresented, his psychology is attacked. His mind is discredited. And his attention is sent in the wrong direction. That is the real problem of miseducation. We don't have to ask, is that a problem? All we have to do is look at our youth. See that it's still a problem getting worse, not better. In other words, foolishness and stupidity is not going out of style. What has been recognized over the past 20 years is that the African in America does not know who he and she is. And yet in 20 years, no aspect of the subsidiary culture, that's what all of this is around that you see black folks doing Africa in books. This is sub, because they got them from 8 to 3, Monday to Friday. Miseducated. I think in the first talk I gave over here, the idea came to my mind. I was here in Cleveland that black boys don't kill Muslims. They don't kill Christians. They don't kill Africans. They don't kill black men and black women. They kill niggas. They kill bitches. They kill hoes. They kill MFs. They reduce that individual to the lowest human denominator before they shoot them. They do that in their mind before they get to the person they're going to shoot. That's psychology. That's miseducation and misdirection. And it's important to understand that level, because at that level is where you change it. You don't change it after he does it, send him to jail, and then, quote, rehabilitate him. The return from that place back to that place is almost equal to the first arrest. There's almost a 45% return back to jail of those who come out, which means the miseducation is worse than it was before they went in. Now that's a problem we got in front of us Monday to Sunday. And for whatever reason, the so-called, quote, and I do mean so-called school teachers, for whatever reason, cannot harness this idea that young people need to know who they are, what they are, where they are, so they can find out where they're going. It just doesn't seem like they're digesting that. And that may not be the problem. The other problem also is that of bucking the system. I'll lose my job. They'll reprimand me if I bring this book to class. I've heard teachers say that. Well, yeah, but I can't teach that. I have to teach what they give me. So those are not teachers. Those are hired hands. You know, that's a hired hand. That's not a teacher. So if you can't get the knowledge into the school system, then you got to do it before they get to the school, or after they come out. Okay. And I'm digressing here. I've done this segment over and over. And I tend to be repetitious because I'm very conscious of certain knowledge that corrects our consciousness. So when I finish dealing with this information, you don't go out of here with the same attitude about black folks that you had when you come in. That's important. Because somebody out there on Sugar Hill is not going to change anybody's mind. It's going to be you all that will do it. In casual conversation, Monday to Sunday. You'll be amazed how much you can do in 5 minutes of correct knowledge that most folks do in the course of a school day. Very important to be able to understand the possibilities that you have just by being who you are. And I don't bite my tongue when I keep reiterating, who are you? You are God. That's what the Bible teaches. So John chapter 10, verse 31, 36, you know. I'm about ready to go on out in the street, start preaching. Read John chapter 10, verse 7, you know. That's how important it is. So we can change this, our psychology, how we see ourselves in a mirror and how we see each other. Okay. In this remarkable piece of art that I tried to duplicate, which comes out of and off of the wall of the Temple of Dendera, again, a European saying where it came from, and then one brother, when he went to Egypt and went to the Temple of Dendera to find the zodiac, it's supposed to be on the ceiling, it wasn't there. Well, I could have told him it wasn't there. It's just by what Chancellor Williams stated in Destruction of Black Civilization. If you want to see Egypt, go to Egypt. If you want to study Egypt, go to the British Museum, because that's where Egypt has been dismantled from and taken to. 6 sub-basement levels of artifice, walls, ceilings, pillars, and floors taken down, carted off to Europe of your ancestral records of the past. Huh? Yes, yes, yes. That's where the knowledge of self is being held captive. That is putting it mildly. So in gaining this point of view, that there has been and still is a deliberate conspiracy against your mind. It has never been about your color, is what we need to understand. That is an excuse. You don't have any power in your color. Your power is in your mind. If you enslave the body, if you limit the body, you automatically limit the mind, enslave the mind. Why? Easy. The mind is in the body. So if it can't go anywhere, the body, then the mind tells it it can't go anywhere. It can't do anything. It can't accomplish anything. It can't achieve anything. Pretty soon, the soul believes that garbage. There you have real slavery in spirit, mind, and in body. That's what's happening to your folks. That's what's wrong with your children. Religion and American education is not going and cannot change that. And we need to understand that. We need knowledge and power to change it. And if we don't change it, it's going to cost us, as it's costing us now. 20 years ago, folks were saying, well, if we don't do something about this, it's going to cost us. I'm telling you now, Yeah, you're right, man. They got to go off to their own little separate places and do their little separate things. Then a certain configuration started forming somewhere out there. Every time you looked up, somebody black was no longer beating up somebody black, was shooting, cutting, maiming, mutilating somebody black. All this crazy murder. Okay, that's where we are. The only antidote I can think of and come anywhere near solving this problem piece by piece is via self-knowledge. From that knowledge of self comes out educare, the Latin word educate, to draw out that which is within. Not to put in what somebody sitting off somewhere in the suburbs sits down and writes an administrative curriculum and says, well, we need to teach them this, we need to teach them that, we need to tell them this. but to draw out what you already came down here with. Power, honor, glory, love, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is what you already have. And black folks every Sunday go and pray, Lord, give me more wisdom, give me this, give me that. Okay. The significance of all this wonderful art and this geometry is to give some clarity of what your parents were doing in Egypt and what they contributed to civilization based on probably the second biggest phobia black folks have, and that is a fear of man, after the fear of the devil.
That's true.
I'll just mention this little story. Once I was in the 10th grade, high school, 55 minutes of classroom in first year algebra, and I sat there in tears, holding back. I didn't understand a thing the professor said, not one thing, for 1 whole hour. I had tears in the back of my head, I had to look down. I was so frustrated, And when the class was over, I got up, I took the deepest breath like somebody was hunting me with a gun. It really troubled me, Then years later, I realized that there's a very interesting echelon of people who never get much publicity. Now, 20 years ago, there were 35 of them. They're called master mathematicians. Only 35 out of 200 and some odd million folks in this country. 35 of them. As far as I know, all of white boys. There may be a brother in there. I don't know. Like I said, they don't get up on the front page. They ain't gonna make 2.5 million. Ain't nobody gonna go see them from sitting there right now. They've established this prestigious echelon by making a mystique of something that is natural to your own mind. The mind knows how to figure out by the equation of geometry what things mean in time, space, and circumstances. Your own mind knows how to do that. But your mind operates by your will. But I can't stops your will. I don't know stops your will. I don't think I can stops your will from working so that your mind will reveal to you what you already know. One writer stated in one essay in a book called Science Digest that math is purely imaginary. That's what caught my imagination. That it's not sitting down dealing with numbers and bits and pieces. It's imagination. If you can see it, then it's real. The distance between one point and another point is purely imagination. The circumference of a circle is purely imagination. The construct of a line is purely imagination. There is nothing else in the universe but a circle and a line. That's all there is. Everything you have, see, smell, feel, and touch is a construct of a circle and a line. That's what the graduate of the ancient mystery school of Osiris, or Egypt, the Osirian mystery system is what Yachanan stated in initials after his name, but Osiris is Greek. That's the graduation certificate that is given to the graduate. It is a circle and a line. That meant he knew how to draw a circle and to measure it with a line. One line, 2 lines, 3 lines, actually 4, 6, 8, 10. That shouldn't be 10, or is it 12?
12.
I got 12 already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Everything that exists on the third dimensional plane and fourth can be viewed from this imaginary zodiac. And the imaginary zodiac belt of the movement of planets as if they were moving around the earth. Or as if we were on the sun and all the rest of the planets are moving around the sun, and we are viewing the planets from the position of the sun, is what a mathematician does. That's what an astrologer is. That's what mathematics means. The one who measures time, space, and distance. Does not mean one who writes down numbers from 1 to 9. I asked a mathematician that up in the donut shop who teaches at Morehouse. He was so startled that I knew that. He didn't answer me. All he did was shake his head. He didn't think anybody blackmailed it, I guess, huh? The 12 is another contribution, which is what I just did without numbers. Ivan van Sertima produced a map in his book that he got from Russia of the Africans' journey into the Americas and the directions they took and how they charted that map of lines and no numbers. In his book, They Came Before Columbus. And he said he paid 2,400 rubles for it. To photograph it. He didn't get the map. He got a photograph for 2,400 rubles. I don't know how much that is in American coin, but he seemed a bit disturbed by the fact it was 2,400 rubles. So I guess it wasn't 24 cents or $24. The point I'm making here, if we have and are still doing underestimating the power of our mind by not having the knowledge of the mind, one of the reasons why we are either failing or still retarded, held back. One of the assessments that is needed in spiritual growth and development in every one of these books that talks about that is the power of your imagination. That principle is so fixed in the construct of your nervous system and your brain that if you cannot imagine yourself getting up out of that chair, going out the door, you can't get up out of that chair. That is dependent of your own image that's in your brainstem. If you can't see yourself getting up, leaving, you won't be able to get up. And that is purely imagination. Most of us, if not all of us, had this little experience where we almost wake up in a half sleep and we get caught between them, called the twilight zone. Maybe some of you have done what I did, suggested to myself that I couldn't move. And I couldn't. I was a freshman in college. I was laying on the bed on my side. I had my hand like this. The reason I mention that because finally it came to me that if I could just move my finger, I could get up. So I sat there and I did like this. That's how I came out. I was psychologically stuck in my own mind by suggesting that I couldn't move. One thought, and I couldn't see how to move. Very important. That is the key to whatever this little boy and this little girl will do with their life from that point to this point. Whatever they see themselves doing. It's what they will achieve, either good or negative. Remember, success is neither positive nor negative. Success is the accomplishment of some act That's all it is. This, get him up, is success. For the brother who dared pull a gun to go get him some money, that's success. We classify it as successful failure. He will if he get caught. If he don't get caught, he succeeded in what he intended. I'm making this point not to try to underline stupidity, because that's about what that is, but how the mind works. That the boy who sits around and takes on some fool's idea, who when he walks past, yeah, man, I broke the stove, man, I got him 500. You did? And the little brother sitting there. And he's listening to how they did that. And his little creative mind gets busy imagining this wonderful thing, how they did that. And one day, what was this summer, this boy said, I just got hungry and I just went in and robbed McDonald's, 14 years old. Went and got him, I don't know, how much he got for it? $400-something, a hamburger, and left McDonald's and went somewhere else to sit down and ate it. You know, had no idea what he was doing. You know, just an idea flashing through his head. Okay. Key to power. We are not disinherited. We are ignorant of what we have inherited. We are unmindful of the reality of power. It is invisible. It is not guns, bombs, sticks, bricks, bottles, knives. It is spiritual energy. It is a capacity to utilize your mental function abilities. To create is power. Creative thinking is followed by power. We do it all the time. That's the way the mind works. That's the law of mind. Whatever the mind conceives and believes, the mind will achieve. Will achieve. Not can. Will achieve. Conception is birth. Understand thinking. You give birth to thought by turning the thought into an image. And it is born on the fertile level of the imagination. Okay.